Hey guys, and welcome back to more revenge stories. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and I hope you're ready for more Reddit shenanigans, so sit back and relax and let's get right into it. My boss suspended me for his negligence, so I ruined his life. For a little context, I work at a vape shop, which is already in a rough space due to regulations and laws the government is putting on us. Due to this, we were well aware that certain products we sold or made were highly illegal and enforceable at any time. I'm a 25-year-old male and I've been working at my job for a little over a year and a half. The owner of the company is the one who hired me, and she was the biggest sweetheart in the world. Unfortunately, she was forced out of her company by her son. He is the type of person who believes that he is always right, and if you don't agree with him, he will completely ignore you, or fire you. He literally forced his mom into retirement by threatening to unalive himself, and continues to use that card every time she even says she wants to come visit. Last winter, we had a massive snowstorm. Getting to work was rough, but we were told that we had to come anyway. We get there, and the snow isn't plowed from the parking lot because he didn't want to pay the guy to do it, so we had to. Due to the lot being absolutely massive, we couldn't get it all done in time for us to help customers. As they came and went, we noticed the snow being patted down into the ground, and essentially turning into a slip and slide. Of course, he didn't do anything about it, and asked me and another coworker to clear all the garbage out of the other side of the building. When I did, I slipped and hurt myself. I didn't file for workers' comp, but told them I'd need to rest myself while at work. The next shift, I sat almost the entire shift, and because I couldn't do anything, I sat on my phone, only to get up to help customers. The next day, my manager tells me he got out of a meeting with the owner's son, and I was suspended for a week, 5 shifts. As I'm a college student and rent an apartment and have car payments, I couldn't afford to lose 5 days of pay. I marched into his office and laid it out that either he fires me so I can collect unemployment or unsuspend me. He told me neither was happening and that he was going to use me as an example to the rest of the employees. I was pissed and cursed him out. He doesn't like confrontation, so he shortened my suspension to get me out of the office. He then treated me poorly and singled me out for everything everyone also does. But I was the only one being punished. Then comes the fact that he wanted to reconcile by forcing me to do handyman work around the place, and didn't give me the tools, equipment, or training to do or use any of these objectives. This was the tipping point for me. The revenge. Due to being constantly singled out, I came to learn that everyone else was unhappy with this fact. I learned all the dirty little secrets about the company, including illegal products, labor violations, tax violations, etc. I used these secrets that I learned to call multiple government agencies, FDA, OSHA, DOL, and report him by name. First, OSHA came and did an inspection on my day off. He told everyone they only cited him for a small violation, and he was good other than that. I was obviously angry at that, but a few weeks later, I got a packet in the mail telling me he got cited for everything, and he was getting massive fines. I then get called into the office again with the manager who told me I was suspended. He proceeded to tell my manager that he was getting demoted for not writing me up more, and that I was no longer getting my raise until I fixed my attitude. This, of course, was right after he said, "I don't care that you called OSHA." This little act is known as retaliation, which is illegal to do to people who called a protected agency like OSHA. He refused to even look at me at this point, because if he did anything that would imply he was punishing me for calling OSHA, I would have a lawsuit to destroy him. Now to today. Another day off for me, and I get a text from a coworker at 11 a.m. That message was, "FDA is here. The manager quit and it's crazy." The FDA and IRS came rolling in full force in black trucks and SUVs. They came in and raided the place, seizing all illegal products and all the paperwork pertaining to the business. They're still there as I write this, so hopefully there will be more to come. But knowing how this works out in most cases, I won't have a job much longer and will be on unemployment. Update 1. The ATF also showed up. They confiscated all the house-made juices. We apparently don't have a manufacturing license. None of us knew this, and that means we may no longer be able to sell products. The IRS showed up because there's a possible cause for an investigation into tax evasion. As I learn more, I will continue to update. Update 2. It seems as though through talks with the lawyer, the son decided to actually take the heat for all of it, and is going to have to pay massive fines, and is possibly looking at jail time. He likely won't be able to get a manufacturing license for the rest of his life, and they said essentially that he won't be able to open any new businesses. I know he had 2 new locations rented out and were in the process of opening, and those are never going to happen now. They're raiding his other businesses today, and that's going to be interesting considering that if he doesn't have the paperwork for that business, it could lead to much more jail time. So as of right now, even though my job isn't shutting down yet, his other business is getting raided. He can't open the 2 locations that he's put a crap ton of money and time into, and he's going to be fined all he's worth and possibly go to jail. So for those that might not totally be aware of the vape industry or the e-cigarette industry, it's still relatively new even though it's exploded in popularity in recent years. And because of that, from what I understand, the regulations and laws are still in flux. But obviously, it's the responsibility of the manufacturers and retailers to keep up with that, which clearly this guy was not doing. Shame me for being an unmarried mother in front of my kids? I'll show you how much of a sham your marriage is. My next door neighbors have rubbed me the wrong way ever since I moved here 3 years ago. The husband, let's call him Mike, struck me as a little sleazy, and the wife, we'll call her Sharon, seemed nosy and judgmental as hell. But I know myself, I know I'm quick to judge and get stuck in a certain opinion of people. My daughter is about the same age as theirs, and let's call her Maria. And she has a bit of trouble making friends, so when Sharon suggested they have weekly play dates, alternating between their house and mine, I put my dislike of her aside and agreed. It all seemed to be going fine for a while, but my daughter eventually seemed less enthusiastic about going over to their place. I talked to her about it, and she admitted she didn't like Sharon. Apparently, Sharon had been watching them play and directing them on how to play, and she often interrupted to ask my daughter intrusive questions about our family, especially about my kids' paternity. My daughter is a picky eater, so to start with, I would send her over with snacks I know she can eat, in case there was nothing there she could eat. My daughter had told me she didn't need those snacks because there was food there she could eat. But it turns out Sharon had told her she was being rude for bringing her own food to someone else's house, and if she wanted to eat, she had to eat what Sharon gave her. So of course, she just didn't eat there. On top of that, Sharon would invite my daughter to Sunday school every time, and had gotten very pushy even though she consistently said no. My daughter still wanted to play with Maria, so we decided the playdates could continue, but only if they were at our place. I made my excuses to Sharon, and initially she agreed to only have playdates at my house. But when Sharon and Maria showed up, they both came inside instead of Sharon leaving Maria at the door as usual. In front of her daughter, my daughter, and my son, Sharon said they'd been praying about it as a family, and God had guided them and told them not to leave their daughter with an unmarried mother because apparently it shows I can't make good choices, and they're worried I would influence her to make poor decisions with her life and stray from her faith, and then they left. So I was right about Sharon being nosy and judgmental. I decided to find out if I was right about Mike. I made accounts on Instagram and Facebook posing as an attractive young lady, with lots of somewhat local friends. I followed him on Instagram, and he followed back. He immediately messaged me, and the messages quickly went from vaguely flirty to obviously trying to get some. I then took screenshots of the messages and sent them to Sharon in a Facebook message. I didn't get a response, but I did see Mike storming out of the house with a small suitcase and driving off rather recklessly. He did come back a couple of days later, so I haven't destroyed their marriage or anything, but I definitely put a dent in it. I want to read this comment here. My dad used to say that the harder they pound on their chest, the better the dirt. Didn't believe him when I was a kid, but boy, was he proven right over and over again. Your neighbors are a classic example of what my dad meant. Yeah, I don't get why some people can't just live and let live. There are countless ways people live their life in this world and countless beliefs and whatnot. Yet some people still insist that their way is the only way. And if they see some people that don't fit in that mold, oh boy, are they going to change their mind. Now, since some people get offended when they hear stories like this, I'd like to point out, I'm not condemning anyone's personal beliefs. It's the people that think their beliefs are the only way, no matter what beliefs they are, and everyone else is just beneath them. Block my driveway? I don't know where your car went. This just happened. In fact, I'm still a little pumped off the adrenaline. Off such a little act. What a rush. So I live on a street connected to an elementary school. Other residents, including myself, have issues on weekdays around 3:30 p.m. that parents will be parked all along our street to go pick up their kids from the school at the end of it. There is no problem with that, as I expect it. We have a guy named Terry on our street. Terry had left all the neighbors a business card saying, that if any people block their driveway to call him immediately, and he would tow them right away. He is basically on standby from 2 to 4 p.m. in our neighborhood. I never had a chance to use this card, yet. The only issue for me is that I finish work at 2 p.m., and I go get groceries and usually end up home around 3:30 p.m. A few times now I have come home to park in my driveway and there is a vehicle completely blocking me. AKA, instead of parking on the curb, they will park at the end of my driveway and make it unable for me to park in. So I have to ask the owners to move. Today specifically, there was an old Dodge minivan blocking my driveway. When I got out of my car to knock on the tinted window, I realized no one was inside. I thought maybe they're napping in the back while they wait. Well, nope, no one was in the vehicle. I couldn't get into my driveway. This is specifically annoying because the curb behind and in front of him were both vacant. Maybe they weren't vacant when he parked there. So I got the card out of my glove compartment and called Terry. I gave him my house number, and in less than 5 minutes, he had that bad boy towed out of there. So what happened next? I decided to start cleaning my car on my driveway until the owner came by. My first plan was to tell the owner that he or she had blocked the driveway and I had it towed. But as I was outside cleaning my car, it's 22 degrees outside in November. Don't ask how Canadian weather works. I saw him coming back with his son. He looked incredibly confused as I was cleaning my car. I noticed him and didn't say anything as he was on his phone, so he actually came to me really upset. He said, "Hey pal, have you seen my van? Are you that much of an effing a-hole to call it for a tow when I was gone for 3 minutes?" So my plan changed. I said, "Wait, what van?" And I decided to play dumb. Well, about an hour later, he rang my doorbell and asked for details. I told him to f*** off and came here to write this. Terry is back in his driveway with his tow truck though, and I plan on giving him a 6-pack of beer for helping me. What I find entertaining about this and how it differs from just getting someone's car towed is that because this guy immediately gave OP some attitude, he decides, you know what, instead of just being somewhat courteous and telling you that I actually got it towed, I'm just gonna play dumb and let you figure it out on your own. Which maybe was a good call because who knows, maybe it avoided an argument or a fight. So I assume this guy probably had to call the police department and jump through these extra hoops to find out where the hell his car went. Guy potentially ruined his life for telling me to unalive myself. I'm not entirely sure how correct this story is for the subreddit, but it might fit. I work for an IT company that does tech support. We receive calls for help. We try to help. This guy called up asking for help to remove a piece of software that required administrator rights. Pretty standard, nothing special. However, the computer he was requesting help with was his own personal computer. Obviously, we don't have any access or control over random people's computers. I have zero way I can help him without the admin account, and he said he doesn't know the account. The software was some kind of parental management software that restricts him from doing things. This guy is in his early 20s. I know this because we can see the details of the people that call us on our system. So, kind of hilarious, he has this software installed. Anyway, after I tell him that I cannot help him, he ends up telling me that I work for a trash company and that I should unalive myself. I don't even respond, and he hangs up the phone. Now, obviously, the calls are recorded, and I'm not going to just ignore what just happened. I tell my manager the story. He listens to the phone call. My manager then calls the liaison for the company he called from. They find out that this guy is an intern at the company. He now no longer works for the company. During the call, they decide to get the CEO on the phone and tell him what happened. Shortly after that call, the CEO let us know that he called the university that the guy is currently going to. The university has now dropped him from all his classes. This guy has now lost his intern job and lost his placement in university, all because he told me to unalive myself on the phone. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's episode. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed, and also subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments. So I'm out of here friends, stay safe and stay awesome. See you in the next one.